Just like in English, there are lots of ways to use the past tense in Spanish. I went, I was going, I have gone, I had gone, I would have gone. All of these are past tense. Today, we're learning about the simplest one. It's called the preterite, or in Spanish, pretérito. In English and in Spanish, the preterite is a one-word formation, which is why we call it the simple one. I mean, look how many words these other formations have. So, how do we form this pretérito? Well, just like in English, there is a pattern. Our English pattern consists of adding the suffix ed to most words. Today, I jump. Yesterday, I jumped. Today, you look. Yesterday, you looked. Of course, we also have tons of irregular preterites. They seem obvious now, but when you were younger, people had to correct you for following the pattern when you actually needed the irregular verb. For example, it's not I runned, but I ran. It's not I seed, but I saw. It's not I ammed, but I was. Not shaked, but shook. Not thinked, but thought. And not telled, but told. And there are lots more. Spanish is very similar. There's a pattern and also some irregulars. We'll start with the steps to follow the pattern. Step 1. Start with the stem of the verb. And if you don't know what I mean when I say stem, you can check out the video that's in the description below. So on to step 2. If the infinitive was an AR verb, add these endings. For example, mandar means to send. The stem is mand. So when I add these endings to the stem, I get yo mandé, I sent. Tú mandaste, you sent. Ella mandó, nosotros mandamos, vosotros mandasteis, ellos mandaron. A few things to note here. Let's put the present tense of mandar up as well to make a few comparisons. For the preterite, make sure these accents are in place, the yo form and the el, ella, usted form. Mandó means he or she sent, but mando, without the accent, is back to the regular present tense conjugation of the yo form, I send, present tense. Also, check out the nosotros forms. They're the same. How can you tell if someone means we send or we sent? The answer is context. What is the rest of the conversation like? For example, if they use hoy, which means today, it's probably present tense, whereas if they say ayer, or yesterday, it must be past tense. Ayer estudiamos mucho, pero hoy no estudiamos para nada. Yesterday we studied a lot, but today we aren't studying at all. Now back to the pattern. That was AR verbs. If the infinitive was an ER verb, we add these endings. For example, correr means to run. The stem is cor, and with the endings, yo corrí, I ran. Tú corriste, you ran. Ella corrió, nosotros corrimos, etc. Again, notice the accents. This time, though, we don't have the same issues as the AR verbs because the nosotros form is different from the present tense by one letter. Corremos, we run. Corrimos, we ran. Finally, if the infinitive was an IR verb, we add these endings. Hey, that looks like good news. ER and IR verbs have the same endings in the preterite. Sweet, one less thing to memorize. Now, here's an example of an IR verb conjugated in the preterite. Escribir is to write. Escribí, I wrote. Escribiste, you wrote. Escribió, escribimos, escribisteis, escribieron. So that's the pattern. Are you ready for some irregulars? We'll include the most common irregular verbs in this video, but that doesn't mean that it's all of them. Some irregulars just have different stems, but the endings still follow a pattern. So this should look familiar, but notice that there are no accents on the yo or ella form this time. For example, estar means to be. The preterite stem is estuve. Add these endings, and you get estuve, I was, estuviste, you were, ella estuvo, nosotros estuvimos, vosotros estuvisteis, and ellos estuvieron. So once you get these irregular stems, the endings fall into place. I had is yo tuve. You put is tú pusiste. He could, él pudo. We found out, supimos. It didn't fit, no cupo. As for the rest of the irregulars, you could divide them up further, but I'll lump them together and just say what you probably don't want to hear, which is you have to memorize them. By the way, if you want a comprehensive guide to divide these up into smaller chunks, check out the link included in the description. So here they are. Completely irregular verbs to memorize. Ser, to be. Yo fui, tú fuiste, fue, fuimos, fuisteis, fueron. Ir means to go. And look at this, they're the exact same. Again, we need context to tell them apart. Dar means to give. I gave, yo di. Tú diste, él dio, nosotros dimos, vosotros disteis, ellos dieron. Ver is to see, vi, viste, vio. Hacer means to do or to make. Hice, hiciste, etc. Querer means to want. Yo quise, I wanted, etc. Venir means to come. Yo vine, tú viniste, etc. Decir means to say. Yo dije, tú dijiste, you said, etc. Traer means to bring. Yo traje, tú trajiste, él trajo. And finally, conducir means to drive. Yo conduje, tú condujiste, etc. Again, these just have to be memorized. You can decide for yourself how you're going to study these. Maybe some flashcards, quizzing yourself. Either way, you've got to find a way to memorize this entire page. Oh, and one more thing. There are some spelling changes even with regular verbs, just like in English. For example, buscar means to look for. The stem is busc. But this yo form is off. If we pronounce it the way it is now, we would get busé. But we want to preserve this hard C sound like it was in the infinitive, buscar. In order to do that, we have to have a spelling change in the yo form, changing the C to a QU, giving us busqué. We don't need to change the rest of the forms because they already preserve the hard C sound. Buscaste, buscó. This also happens with verbs that end in GAR. You have to add a U to keep the hard G sound. For example, juzgar means to judge. Yo juzgué, I judged with an extra U. Ellos juzgaron, with no change. They judged and the hard G is preserved. Are you ready for some practice? Let's do it. Give me the Spanish word for she brought. The infinitive is traer. That's right, ella trajo. How about I went? The infinitive is ir. That's right, yo fui. Okay, what about they saw? From the infinitive ver. That's right, vieron. How about you, informal, wrote? It's the tú form. Yep, that's tú escribiste. To finish strong, why don't you pause the video here and conjugate all of these verbs in the preterite. And that's it. You did it, the Spanish preterite. Nice job. For more language learning resources and videos like this one, you can go to lingolearner.com.